Speaking of Donald Trump, I was stunned and amazed by his new White House spokeswoman today. She's actually the youngest ever in that job.
Democrats and the media are now unloading all their nasty attacks on rising Trump White House star and new press secretary, Karoline Leavitt.
Oh, you better believe things are heating up in the world of daytime television. And this time, it's not just the usual roundtable chatter. Nope, this is something far juicier. Buckle up, because the ladies of The View are in some serious hot water. And it's all thanks to a young, sharp, and unapologetic conservative who's shaking things up in the White House. That's right, Karoline Leavitt, the youngest press secretary in history, is making waves not just in politics, but across the media landscape. And let's just say the hosts of The View did not see this coming. Now, let us paint the scene for you. Karoline Leavitt, at just 27 years old, stepped into the White House briefing room for the first time as press secretary. And boy, did she make an impression. She didn't just read from a script. She delivered with confidence, poise, and yes, without relying on binders or notes, like we've seen so many do before her. But instead of applauding her for being a trailblazer, the ladies of The View decided to go low. And by low, we mean really low.
I think she's probably been put in there because, according to Donald Trump, she's a 10.
A segment on their show, Joy Behar Can Help Herself. She threw out a comment that has since gone viral for all the wrong reasons. Behar suggested that Leavitt only got her position because, in her words, according to Donald Trump, she's a 10 yep. She reduced this young woman's entire career and qualifications to her appearance. And it didn't stop there.
I would like this young lady this is her first job, I would like her to do a little homework. Because she said something yesterday that really pissed me off. And that was, she said, there will be no wokeness here.
Oh, yeah.
Let me explain something to you. Because without that wokeness, you might not have that job.
Yeah.
Because women were not invited to that table. Women were not invited to many tables in this nation. The reason we fought and busted our behinds to make sure that you didn't have to worry about this. And now to hear you talk about it and to hear anybody talk about the wokeness was put in place for a reason. Because Black people couldn't get into colleges. Because women could not get into the colleges they wanted to go to. This is all women. Yeah. See, this is not Black, Asian women. This is all women. Women were not invited to this party. It was a man's world, and we busted our asses to make sure that this...
Whoopi Goldberg chimed in with her own take, claiming that Leavitt wouldn't even have her position if it weren't for what? She called wokeness, according to Whoopi. This so-called wokeness is the only reason women like Leavitt have a seat at the table at all. You can already imagine the uproar such comments sparked. Social media lit up like a Christmas tree. Critics slammed both Behar and Goldberg for their remarks, calling them out for their hypocrisy. We mean, isn't The View supposed to be about empowering women, supporting them regardless of their political affiliation? Apparently, that only applies if you align with their worldview. One user pointed out, if a Republican said anything remotely like that, they'd be crucified. Another wrote, disgusting. Anti-woman Joy Behar says Karoline Leavitt got her job because of her looks. Imagine if someone said that about a liberal press secretary, the outrage would never end. And let's talk about Karoline's qualifications for a second because, oh boy, does she have the receipts to back up her position. Before becoming press secretary, she served as the national press secretary for Trump's 2024 campaign. She was also the communications director for Representative Elise Stefanik, and even worked under former press secretary Kayleigh McEnany during the first Trump administration. On top of all that, she ran for Congress in her home state of New Hampshire and won her primary before narrowly losing in the general election. So to say she's unqualified is frankly laughable. But we guess doing your homework isn't a priority for The View these days.
Karoline Leavitt, she's just 27 years old. But boy, was she giving it to the Trump haters in her first White House briefing.
But here's where it gets even more interesting. Karoline didn't just sit back and let these comments slide. Oh no, she clapped back hard and her response left jaws on the floor. During her next press briefing, she didn't hold back calling out the mainstream media, and by extension shows like The View, for their blatant bias and hypocrisy. We will hold the media accountable for their lies and smears, not just against President Trump, but against anyone who dares to stand up for what they believe in, she declared. The room was silent. You could practically hear the sound of microphones dropping. And if you thought that was the end of it, think again. Karoline's response didn't just stay confined to the walls of the press briefing room, it went viral. Social media exploded with support for her. One user wrote that Karoline Leavitt is a masterclass in handling the media. Another added that she's not just smart, but fearless, and that The View should be ashamed of themselves. The hashtag cancel. The View even started trending, with many calling for the show to be pulled off the air entirely. Let's circle back to The View for a moment, because the fallout didn't just end with social media criticism. Oh, no. The Backlash has reportedly sent ABC executives into full-blown panic mode. Rumors are swirling that producers are scrambling to figure out how to contain this disaster. Some insiders are even suggesting that Joy Behar and Whoopi Goldberg could be seen as liabilities at this point, and honestly, can you blame them? This isn't the first time the show has found itself in hot water for controversial comments. But this time, it feels different. The sheer scale of the backlash has left even their most loyal fans questioning the show's direction.
Isn't it rich that The View is saying she got the job based on looks when DEI is all about based on looks?
And let's not forget that it's not just fans or critics making noise. There are whistlers that advertisers are paying very close attention to how all of this plays out. Big-name sponsors have reportedly started pulling back, or at the very least reevaluating their partnerships with the show. One insider claimed that a few major brands are concerned about being associated with what's being described as a toxic environment, especially given the growing trend of consumers holding companies accountable for their affiliations. They don't want the headache, the source added, and let's face it, when the money starts to walk, networks start to listen. Adding fuel to the fire, several former employees of The View have started speaking out anonymously, sharing their thoughts on the show's culture. Some have suggested that this isn't the first time the hosts have crossed the line, alleging a pattern of behavior that's gone unchecked for years. One former staffer reportedly said, "What you see on TV is just the tip of the iceberg. Behind the scenes, there's a lot more that never makes it to the surface." While these claims remain unverified, they are certainly adding to the growing storm surrounding the show. The View finds itself at a crossroads as controversies continue to swirl around the show, questioning its relevance in today's daytime TV landscape. With an increasing number of viewers turning towards independent content creators and podcasts for news and opinions, traditional talk shows like The View are struggling to maintain their audience. Recent calls for the show's cancellation and potential legal actions, notably by figures like Karoline Leavitt, reflect mounting discontent. Meanwhile, Karoline Leavitt's tenure as White House press secretary has been marked by significant reforms aimed at enhancing transparency in media interactions. While her initiatives have garnered praise for opening up access to the press, they haven't been without criticism, with concerns raised about the potential for misinformation. As The View navigates these challenges, ABC faces pivotal decisions on how to address these issues amidst evolving viewer preferences and the broader media landscape. What are your thoughts on the future of The View and the impact of Karoline Leavitt's actions?